All right. Let's get this out the way right quick. So, Nakam. Let me tell you the Cliff Notes version as tight as I can. So, Nakam, or the Jewish Avengers, was an organization that was started up after the Second World War. They all met in Warsaw. I think it was about 50 to 60 men and women who said we're going to get revenge on the Germans. So what did they do? Now, there's a lot of speculation about how they got what they got, but they decided to use arsenic in the water supply. A lot of people said that they got this from information provided by the first president of Israel, or the first future president of Israel, Chaim Weizmann. Chaim Weizmann, if you do some research, was a world-renowned chemist and a dedicated Zionist. But it should be put into perspective. He had a student, I think his name was Ephraim Katzir. Let me see if I got that right. I think it's Ephraim Katzir. It was the Katzir brothers, if I want to say that. Let me see if I'm looking right here. Kiev, Ephraim. Like his brother Aaron, yeah. Zoology, Hebrew University in Jerusalem. His brother Aaron Katzir. Yeah, scientific career. Yeah, the Weizmann Institute of Science. Yeah, so basically Ephraim Katzir, who was a future president of Israel, as well as Aaron Katzir, was a pioneer in the study of electrochemistry of biopolymers. These two were students directly of Chaim Weizmann, who, of course, as I said, was the first president of Israel, the future first president. And, of course, like I said, Ephraim Katzir was the fourth president of Israel from 1973 to 1978. And allegedly, these are the ones that helped to create the arsenic. And, of course, arsenic is fairly common. It's used in fertilizer, I think, and other industrial capacities. But it's something that it's not talked about very much in terms of what happened. So they got this arsenic. Now, of course, there are people that to this day say, no. Abba Kovner never met with Chaim Weizmann. He never knew the Katzir brothers or any of this type of thing. So there's a lot of back and forth that goes on. Well, let's continue the story. Actually, let's continue this real life thing that needs to be talked about more. So what happens? Well, they wanted revenge for the Holocaust. What happened? Well, they decided to pick 5 German cities. I think there's Nuremberg. I'm going to say Berlin. I can't remember all the 5 cities because I think that, things are a little bit more complicated. But there were 5 German cities that they were going to go through the water supply. They had connections, and they were going to put arsenic in the water supply. So what happened? Well, what happened is that this is one of the things, again, that needs to be kind of mentioned. What happens? Well, Abba Kovner, who was the leader of this group, who was a Zionist socialist, who had fought as a partisan in the Second World War, or in the Great Patriotic War, if you want to put it that way. He ultimately, started this group and was leading it. He was on a ship along with some of his other comrades, I guess you could say. And basically, a lot of people say that this was snitched out, this was ratted out by David Ben-Gurion and kind of the what became the provincial government of what became Israel. But that was, a couple of years later. But MPs had seized him, and Abba Kovner was arrested. And at first, I think he was in jail in Toulon, and then he was in jail in Cairo. At least according to what I was reading here in this book here. The Avengers, a Jewish war story by Rich Cohen, which a lot of it is kind of mixed between talking about the Jewish Brigade and the British Army, and about the Second World War, and then talking about the Avengers, which I think is pretty good. But anyway, so what happens after that? The group then delegates Joseph Harmatz to be the leader of Nakam in Abakovner's absence. What happens from there? Well, what happens from there is they basically say, okay, we won't be able to get all 4 of these cities. So what we're going to do is we're going to aim for one place in particular. Nuremberg, of course, where all the Nuremberg rallies were. There's a lot of symbolism. And they go to Langwasser prison camp, which has ex-SS guards and, Allgemeinen SS. I don't know about Waffen SS, but anyway, in general, there's a lot of those members of the Schutzstaffel. And what happens? Well, what happens from there is they get whatever's left of the arsenic, because here's another wrinkle in the story, is that when Abakovner was arrested on that ship, they tossed the arsenic overboard. Where did they get more arsenic? Was it hidden somewhere? There's a lot of holes. And once again, hopefully reading this book, apart from the propaganda and apart from ours was a glorious struggle, hopefully we can get some answers. But anyway, so what happened? Well, what happened from there is they got in. They were able to get into the bakery. And so basically they made the arsenic into a paste and they put it across the bread. Now, some say that they were being a little bit too loud. The MPs came in, they're like, hey, and so they ducked out. And they got, I've seen documentaries. I wish I had downloaded it when it was on. It mysteriously disappeared from YouTube. I mean, who knows if the guy deleted this and that. But anyway, Nakam, there's a good documentary made by an Israeli filmmaker. And I think that they were talking to one of the guys and said, yeah, we covered 3,000 to 4,000 loaves of bread or something like that. What happens next after that? Well, there are reports of these prisoners getting sick. Now, various reports go back and forth. They say that the New York Times reported, of course, that 2,000 German soldiers or, German prisoners were sick, this and that. There's a lot of this back and forth. And some people say it was 207. There's some say it's like 2,238. There's a lot of back and forth there. Nothing is concrete. What happens? Well, Abakovner is released. And so, this is something that comes up in, I think even ITV in the United Kingdom covered this. ITV did. And they had a documentary out, and they had footage of Joseph Harmatz before his death in 2016. They had other members of, Avengers who were there. And basically they decided, people like Abakovner decided, okay, we can continue on getting revenge, or we can continue on getting back to the land of Israel, or getting back to the land of Judea, I guess you could say. So they decided to go back to Judea. So they joined the Aliyah, and, they bring European Jews with them to mandatory Palestine, as it was known then. And as far as I know, Abakovner and a lot of the members of Nakam, the Jewish Avengers, joined Haganah. Now, to me, I'm going to have to do some more research and really find out the details of this and try to get a better idea. But as far as I know, Haganah was kind of like a umbrella of Zionist paramilitary groups. Because you had Haganah, you had groups like Irgun, who were much more just the violent thugs. People like Menachem Begin were part of them. Those were the ones that helped bomb the King David Hotel, killed 93 people, mostly Jews and Palestinians, not British, civilians who they wanted to kill. And also a more of a legitimate military force called Palmach as well, which, of course, as far as I know, those were guys from the Jewish Brigade of the British Army, this and that. That's a whole different thing. Where do we finish up? Well, the thing is that this is not something that's very well covered. This is not something that's talked about, because obviously this would be hugely, this would, if this was more widely, shown, if this was more widely taught, people would be up in arms. And it's something that you can find with a little bit of digging, but it's not something people like to talk about. It's not something people like to get into, because if they did that, they would realize, oh, this doesn't look good, so they don't talk about it. Of course, to me, you should definitely talk about this as an affair after the Holocaust, because of course the image that's portrayed is, oh, Jews were killed and whatnot. Of course, you can feel as you want to, but homosexuals and communists and other riffraff, those guys don't matter. It's only Hebrews. Anyway, Joseph Harmans in 2005 is brought on charges by the now unified Germany. Case is thrown out, and Joseph Harmans lives out the rest of his 11 years of his life in Israel. But it's interesting, to say the least, the fact that the Germans saw this as a legitimate case in any form. It's very interesting, to say the least. Like I said, once again, look up Nakam, look up Jewish Avengers. People like Abba Kovner were very much, this sort of Zionist, but yet also socialist, because obviously he did fight, amongst the Soviet partisans. But I think he even hated the Russians, though, as well. I was just reading an excerpt here where, they were basically looking at his watch, and he gave them his watch because ultimately they were pointing at the gun like, "I'll shoot you, bled," and he spit. He's like, "Oh, the Russians say," he's talking to Joseph Harmans. He's saying, and Joseph Harmans is saying, "Oh, well, they saved us." And of course, we know that Abba Kovner does not feel that way. So there's a lot of good stuff here in this book. You may find some interesting tidbits here to read about. I'll probably try to underline that. But anyway, it's a lot of good stuff in there. But yeah, once again, it's the same type of thing. I'm just going to bring this up because, boomer minds. But it's also interesting, of course, when people want to talk about the whole issue of the Holocaust and talk about the concentration camps. They don't talk about the details about what happened after the Second World War, particularly Auschwitz, the more well-known concentration camp. I know. Here we go. I've already fallen into the Wignat well. I'm already here. Let's just go all the way. And I'm referring to the Zgoda labor camp. The Zgoda labor camp was originally part of Auschwitz. Auschwitz is not just one thing. It was a huge, outer place where, sometimes, Jews would dig for coal, this and that type of thing. But yeah, it's very interesting, to say the least, what happened with that. It wasn't just made into a museum. I think someone's honking for me. I'm going to end it there. Y'all have a good one. See ya. Bye.